Today we are making a wonderful paperclip inspired link chain, either for necklaces or for bracelets, even some drop earrings. Several days ago I made these two necklaces, obviously one with copper, one with sterling silver. I'm telling you what, this little chain is so adorable, paperclip inspired. It's actually quite trendy right now. The small ones, large ones, all different styles of a paperclip chain. This is a no solder version, just using some loops and a couple basic tools. Let's make this today. Let's go over a few basic things that you're going to need. 20 gauge wire. You can go thicker, but I like to keep it a little dainty. You could go larger if it was going to be for a man. That would look fantastic. Or if you just prefer something with a little weight, a little bulk, this is totally customizable. I was just pointing to how I did 3 different sizes. I want to show you that, how I accomplished these 3 different sizes. You're going to need cutters, of course, some flat nose pliers, possibly some nylon jaw pliers, and of course, bail making pliers. From now on, I'm only saying bail pliers. I am not saying bail making pliers anymore for the rest of this video. Just bail pliers, okay? So first of all, before I started shooting, I went ahead and cut several links that, several pieces I'm going to use to make the links. These are 3.5 centimeters long to accomplish this small paperclip link here. Now that we have a selection of pieces straightened out, I want to show you where and how this customization comes in for your piece. You can see that I'm using the smallest one for these necklaces, but I want to share with you how you can achieve some bigger pieces, even using a chunkier gauge, like I mentioned earlier. So for this small version, you're going to use the small step on your bail pliers with 3.5 inches. For the second one, I just went to the next step and used 4.5 inches. And for the third step, this is pretty obvious. I went to the third step and used 5.5 inches. That's all there was to it. So I want to encourage you that when you're watching videos or you're getting some ideas from other wonderful creators out there, that you find a way to make it customizable for you. All these things are customizable, and that's where your creative juices come in. So I thought, you know what, how can I make this different, And so I sat down and just started fiddling with the bail pliers, and what did I come up with? And I encourage you to do the exact same thing. Get a chunkier wire out, more than a 20 gauge. Go to 6.5 inches, see what it does, or use that chunky gauge on the smaller one and see what kind of look that comes out for you. You don't exactly have to do everything that I'm doing here or where you might see somewhere else. So let's get started on the actual mechanics of making these links. I'm positive you're going to find this easy to do and totally applicable to whatever you have in mind for your next project. Get your 3.5 centimeter 20 gauge piece of wire. We're going to get our bail pliers out and put it in between the very end here so you can't see it, so you can't feel it. And we're going to wrap around the first step. So a gentle push with your fingers and a gentle twist of the wrist. And imagine that there is an invisible line that's connecting. And then you will line up your loop with the wire. So when we get ready to do the next part, you will see why that's important, because we're going to put a very perfect matching loop on the other side to roll in like they're going to meet. And that's why it's so important to have those 2 loops level with each other, and even more important in the next phase of this very first link that we are making. Get your wire like this situated with you, and then your pliers back on the first step. Before, I'm just noticing that there's a little gap here. I would like to tweak that before I move on to the next phase. It's better to, if you see any issues before you go on to the next step, fix it then. It will be a little easier Although working with wire is so forgiving, and I do enjoy working with the wire. Okay, so we've got our wire like this back within the bail, and we're going to be wrapping around the small step. Press near the bail till our two our two loops meet on the other end. This one turned out pretty good because the loops are stacked on top of one each other, where you can't even really see there's two loops there. That's what you want. You want them nice and stacked evenly on top. There is slightly a gap when you look on the side. Here is a little tip that I discovered when I had some really cattywampus loops and I was trying to get them put together. If you take your flat nose pliers, whichever kind you have, put it right on the end of your loops and do some very gentle twisting, and it will make them sit together. It will make them nice and stacked together. And you can do some final fine-tuning there while it's still on your bail pliers. I find that this makes it easy to hold this tiny little link. I mean, you can hold it and do some minor tweaking, but I do find that if you leave it on here, sometimes it just gets your hand out of the way so you can really work on it. All right, so we have made our foundational link that all the rest will build on. So let's move on to the next phase. Get another piece of your 3.5 centimeter 20 gauge wire. Copper, sterling silver, whatever you would like to use will work just fine. Get your pliers right on the end of your wire. And we're going to roll in with that first loop like we made previously and make a nice little joint there. All right, now this is where the connection comes in. Get that foundational link that we just made and take the end of the wire and put through those double loops. This is how the connection is made. Turn your wire around so we can now put that loop on there, and that's going to lock our links together. Now, if you mess up, say you just go ahead and you start making a bunch of links and you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't link them together. That's not a huge problem. You can just make some jump rings or buy some jump rings and cook them together and achieve a whole nother look. That is the beauty of jewelry making. It's forgiving, it's customizable, and let your mistakes turn into something glorious. All right, so now you see how that's locked on there. That's what we want. Now we will go into just continue how we made the first loop. Put our small step right in the middle of that wire. Let this kind of swing down on this side to get it out of the way. And then press like we just did till the loops meet on the other side. Turning out pretty good. Usually a lot of times, and if you face this, because you might face this, where these loops are not lined up on top of each other, you can take a small flat nose or round nose, oops, can't show you what I'm doing if it falls down, and just put it right in those little loops and you can wiggle them around until they meet. Or if you look on this side and one's going this way and the other one's down here, put your pliers right on the end with some just gentle twisting, and that will make them sit together. All right, because I guarantee you will run into that, because I ran into that when I first started making this. So now we've got 2 links going, and it is just the same process until you achieve the length that you would like. Another piece of 3.5 centimeter 20 gauge wire. Let's do another one just so you're clear on what we're doing. Looping in on one end, and now this comes the connection part before we put the second loop in on the other end. We've got our connection on there. Now we can lock it in with another loop on the end. While I got you here and we're kind of going through a review, I want to say that your comments and connection with me, and just it's so absolutely wonderful. I don't know what I enjoy more, making the videos or having this community online, making jewelry together and interacting with you. I just absolutely love it. Thank you so much for your response with what stone to use for the previous earrings that I made. I put that on my community page, so if you want to check that out, what was eventually chosen by you, I'm going to fix this gap. Check out my community page, and you can see what you all chose. See how that sits together? I'm not sure what physics is happening when I do this little twist and why they're staying together. I just know that it works, okay? All right, so I wanted to show you, so if you're building a bracelet or a necklace, how long or how many of these you're gonna need? Roughly 3 of these make about an inch. And what did I see earlier? If you did the bigger ones, or I should say the medium ones, I think you probably need about 2 1/4 is going to make an inch. And then obviously it's going to be less and less that you'll need. This makes about 1 1/2 makes an inch with the larger size. So it's totally customizable, just so you have a reference of what you'll need. Maybe cut, 19 to 21 pieces of 3.5 centimeter wire, and to achieve a 7-inch length bracelet. And it's minor math, praise the Lord. I don't like math, so I can figure out how many pieces of links I'll need to create a bracelet or a necklace. I have had such a wonderful time showing you this paperclip link chain that is totally customizable for your necklaces, your bracelets, your earrings, whatever that you are working on. It's quite trendy right now. I've been seeing a lot of a paperclip design, and I just wanted to show you how you could do that as well without having soldering or a soldering gun. We don't need to be busting out fire and all that. Just wanted to show you how it was possible with some basic tools like a bail, like some flat nose pliers, and how you could achieve this look for your next project. If you would like for me to do a video showing you how to do some basic clasps, I can do that. If you would like to have a video of me showing you how to do some basic wire weaving, I am not an expert, but I can show you how to do some basic herringbone weave. This is what this is called, and I just love it. I love how it's on this long rectangular amazonite stone, and it kind of makes a bar link and a bar pendant for your necklaces or a bracelet. I really love that kind of modern look. So let me know if you would like to see something like that, and I'd love to bring that for you. I am hoping that you got something out of this, and I am so looking forward to seeing you in the next video.